we were just four kids from Oklahoma in t-shirts and jeans, and we didn't wear the eyeliner, and we didn't cloak ourselves in black veils. And so to fit into an emo culture for a band like us that was on the radio and MTV, and we didn't really find an audience per se, or a culture about us.
Who would have thought that in 2025, the All-American Rejects would go on a house show tour and not only change their entire legacy, but change the music industry? To understand everything that's been happening and all of the ramifications, we need to start at the beginning. The All-American Rejects, of course, exploded in popularity during the 2000s with their songs Dirty Little Secret, Move Along, and It Gives You Hell. In the 2010s, the band faded away from the mainstream just like all of rock music did. They released their last album in 2012, Kids in the Streets, and while I do love Some Days Gone, the album didn't resonate with fans, it didn't resonate with casual fans in the mainstream at all, definitely nothing like the band's earlier material. And here's a tidbit people seem to forget, that in 2019, the All-American Rejects signed to legendary punk rock label Epitaph and released a 3-song EP. Now, that EP didn't really do anything as far as gain buzz or momentum in the scene, but I don't know, sometimes I always just forget and am shocked that, yeah, the All-American Rejects were on Epitaph. Speaking of forgotten punk rock cred, don't forget that the band's song Top of the World, this is a political song about wealth distribution and the power of the rich on a major label pop punk album in 2005. I see you, All-American Rejects. And something people forget is that the All-American Rejects, even at the height of their popularity, weren't embraced by the scene. We didn't talk about the All-American Rejects like we talk about Green Day or Blink-182, for example, and the band felt that. I mean, for a lot of the All-American Rejects' entire career, they were basically labeled as a mall, pop-punk, Abercrombie and Fitch boy band. But all of that perception is changing, and based on my research, it looks like it all started to change around When We Were Young 2022.
There was a moment where we played a festival in Vegas, and it was one of these sort of heritage festivals with the whole scene, and we were just kind of taking a piss on the whole thing because we thought it was just going to be a big shit show. Such a distance between our last record, it was like, oh yeah, man, maybe some kids will be out there to sing the songs that they know. And we were playing up against Paramore and Death Cab for Cutie, and there was fucking 30,000 people in front of us singing, and that was the biggest thing. It was so jarring to after all these years to play that show, and I remember just going, holy shit, I can hear this crowd through my in-ears. Not just singing the hits, they were singing every song we played.
So after that, it would make all the sense in the world for the band to go ahead and cash in on all that pop-punk and emo nostalgia, all of that hype and resurgence of a lot of that 2000s emo and pop-punk scene that's happening right now with Warped Tour, Emo Nights, When We Were Young. All-American Rejects could have went on a big arena tour and just played Move Along in full every night, but they didn't do that. They did something different. The next big moment in our timeline here is when the All-American Rejects actually pulled out of playing When We Were Young 2024. So when the lineup was originally announced, the Rejects were set to play their self-titled album in full, but apparently the band never agreed to that. So the All-American Rejects pull out of When We Were Young 2024. They don't feel like they want to be part of this emo and pop-punk resurgence, this nostalgia that's happening in the scene right now, because they never felt like they were part of that scene to begin with. So what do the All-American Rejects do? They announce that they're going to be playing a house show tour. So you got to go RSVP on their website or their newsletter or their mailing list, and then a few hours before the show, you get the address of where that show is happening in that city, and then you got to do your best to get there before the cops shut the show down. Now, I love this on so many levels, and first, I know a lot of the gutter punks, the hardcore punks are going to get really upset that I say this, but it's true. The All-American Rejects and what they're doing right now is, for a lot of people, their first taste of a real DIY punk scene. Most people aren't going to basement shows, and if you got a text from your friend that was like, hey, the All-American Rejects are playing 20 minutes away from us in some random neighborhood in some guy's backyard, you're gonna go if you're a casual fan of the band, or even if you don't even know a song from the All-American Rejects. If your friend texted you and you were like, oh, put them in Spotify, the All-American Rejects, 2000s, the millions and millions of streams, yeah, I'm gonna go because, inherently at the end of the day, the All-American Rejects doing this and playing all these house shows is just cool, and it's building it's a lot of that sense of like DIY. You're going to some random address that you didn't even know existed 20 minutes ago. You're most likely around a bunch of people you've never met, but you're all there for one reason. And then you're all, singing together, all, sweating and jumping and moshing around each other. Like, that's a lot of people's first experience of a DIY community. And the All-American Rejects replicated all of that without any Ticketmaster fees. And I also love this from a marketing perspective, because the All-American Rejects are doing this because they have a new album to promote. They have two new songs that they're playing on these shows, Sandbox and Easy Come, Easy Go. Now, just think about if you had gotten a notification when you opened up Apple Music or Spotify, you're like, oh wow, the All-American Rejects, this band I haven't thought about in 20 years, has new songs. Maybe you go in and click the notification and you listen to maybe 15 seconds of either song and you're like, wow, this doesn't sound like Dirty Little Secret, I don't care, and then boom, you're never thinking about the All-American Rejects again. Now with all of these house shows, the All-American Rejects are playing their hits, and then they, put in either Sandbox or Easy Come, Easy Go about right in the middle. They're playing about 45 minutes to an hour. That's pretty much what I've seen on all the set lists and stuff like that. And then they go in and they sneak in a new song, and you instantly have this nostalgic, awesome memory of seeing this big band with, maybe 100 people in some random person's backyard, and then you had this nostalgic memory attached to Sandbox or Easy Come, Easy Go, just like a lot of people have a nostalgic memory to Move Along, Dirty Little Secret, or Gives You Hell. It is brilliant, because think about if the All-American Rejects had just done a regular tour and they put in Sandbox or Easy Come, Easy Go between their hits while they're playing, the local, 1,000-seat or capacity club in your town. You know what a lot of people would do? They would use that as an opportunity to go to the bathroom or go look at their phone or maybe get a drink, because the truth is a lot of us like listening to the same 15 songs that we liked in high school, and I'm guilty of it too. But it's just so smart and so brilliant. Instead of like chasing, a 15-second clip of a song that goes viral on TikTok, the All-American Rejects are attaching nostalgia, using the nostalgia of this emo and pop punk resurgence that's happening, but in such a clever, unique way, free of charge. It's just brilliant, and I love everything about it. My quick thoughts on the new songs. Sandbox is okay, not really my cup of tea, to be honest, but I love Easy Come, Easy Go. It kind of has that, and I know this is going to be a wild, maybe left field comparison, but it really reminded me of like 2000s rock, 2000s indie rock, like Franz Ferdinand or Jet. And I know it's weird. We're talking about DIY punk community and we're talking about, Jet. But yeah, it really reminded me of like that 2000s kind of like a song that would be in like the soundtrack of like, like Tony Hawk or Madden or like some, like a WWE game. Like those are the kind of like memories I have of like, of Jet and Franz Ferdinand and like that type of music. And I think that's a smart. Sandbox was kind of like the experimental kind of song, I think, and then Easy Come, Easy Go is kind of more like a traditional rock song, and I think that works really well, because I think that's what's missing in the mainstream is just, I think a lot of people just want catchy rock and roll, and that's what the All-American Rejects like hits were. That's what Jet was, or Are You Gonna Be My Girl? That's what, Franz Ferdinand, all the hits were. I think a lot of people just want catchy, infectious rock and roll, especially in the mainstream, because it's been like 15 to 20 years where rock has been irrelevant in the mainstream at all. The All-American Rejects could be playing Warped Tour since it's back. They could be playing, their self-titled or Move Along every night in full. They could have broken up, reunited, said they would never come back, played a last show, sold a bunch of tickets for that show, and then come back 5 years later because the money was still around. Like, they could have done all of this, but they're playing house shows, and they're also building not only that like nostalgic relationship with like the new songs and stuff like that, but they're also building an entire new fan base, because you have a lot of people my age or even older who are like, wow, the All-American Rejects, Dirty Little Secret, Move Along, Gives You Hell, all of that stuff, and they're instantly taken back to maybe like high school and hearing those songs and stuff like that. But you also had this entire new generation of younger kids who are not only being, learning about the All-American Rejects, but again, they're learning about like, this house show kind of mentality, this DIY kind of thing of like getting, that text an hour before the show comes, getting all your friends, getting into a car and driving to the show, hanging out, meeting new people that you never would have met, like this kind of, maybe, sense of community. I don't know if that's like too strong of like a phrase there, but the All-American Rejects, I'd love to see like their Spotify and Apple Music numbers ever since they came back and started doing this. I mean, it has to be like a straight shot, up to the top. And then I'd love to see like the age demographic breakdown of a lot of younger people who, maybe they like rock music, or maybe they kind of like casually like emo or pop punk. So on Spotify and like those playlists that are like, this is emo, this is pop punk, and they have the All-American Rejects or Yellow Card, Simple Plan, Good Charlotte, Blink, Green Day, all of that stuff. So they might be like, maybe has to be like, I think I've heard of the All-American Rejects. Maybe they've heard like the opening of like Dirty Little Secret, but they've never like, sat down and listened to it. And now you have the All-American Rejects, and not only bringing back their fans, from the early 2000s, but they're building this entire new fan base who, especially after like hearing the new songs and stuff, are probably going to check out the All-American Rejects' new album. And if the All-American Rejects had done like a traditional venue tour across like the States and released, a single here or a single there, a lot of these younger kids would have never heard about this, never would have, even heard like a clip of the new song. But because the All-American Rejects have went, pretty viral on social media and in TikTok and stuff, they're like, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check out the new album. And I also love that the All-American Rejects have been pretty outspoken and have said what I've said on this channel in a number of different videos, that rock music is not cool anymore. It hasn't been in the mainstream forever. And for a band, like we talked about earlier, that doesn't feel like they were a part of the emo and pop punk, the mainstream pop culture success of emo and pop punk in the 2000s, is really cool just to see that band who feels that way to kind of like take on the onus of like, no, we want to make rock music cool again. We want to make rock music popular again. That's our goal.
Shit, dude, rock bands have just disappeared from modern, like, honestly, pop culture.
They have.
It's a shame.
And if we're talking about marketing, the All-American Rejects lead singer Tyson also is doing, this. I don't think I can say the platform's full name because I think YouTube's going to get mad at me, but the one about fans and stuff. And I don't even know what's behind there. I haven't checked it out. Someone let me know in the comments. But again, just more smart marketing. If you didn't know anything about the Rejects coming back, and then you saw like, one of these headlines, you were like, wow, not only have I not thought about the All-American Rejects in 20 years, but what the heck's going on with the All-American Rejects? And then even with the house show stuff, we've already seen copycats. Reliant K and Metro Station have both done similar, at least one-off shows, I believe. I think Reliant K may have done 2 or 3 or something like that. But, again, the All-American Rejects, didn't really do a lot for, 15 years. Now they're back, and they were already influencing bands in the scene. Some things are just cool. Pizza is cool. Eddie Guerrero is cool. A band like the All-American Rejects deciding to forego a lot of money and just play house shows, that's cool. And I think a lot of people, based on everything I've seen online, agree with me. So let me know in the comments if you're excited about the All-American Rejects comeback. Let me know if you actually had a chance to go to one of these shows. I unfortunately missed the Chicago show, but I've seen all the clips. It was awesome. I'm so upset that I couldn't make it, but let me know, and let me know how it was. Are you excited about the new album? Are you going to check it out? What do you think about the 2 new songs? Let me know down in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.